In a world where blind life doesn't wait, where skills are learned, not given. We don't wait for tomorrow, we do it today. Real skills, real tools, real life. I'm Jeff Thompson, along with Tim Schwartz. This is The Blind Drive. Let's get started. Welcome to The Blind Drive. I'm Jeff Thompson, and with me is Tim Schwartz. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm jaw-dropping, I guess.
You are jaw-dropping. Well,
yeah. I like to say jaw-dropping in a sense, because in your situation where you're running, what, the 13?
I have the 13 mini and I had the Watch Series 4 and I've lost it. So I am no watch right now with the 13 mini. So this was definitely dropping, jaw dropping, all kinds of droppings.
And they did do some droppings there for major items, I think. One, really, the iPhone Air to me was like less than a quarter of an inch thick.
Yeah.
It's 0.22 of an inch. So 0.25 would be a quarter of an inch.
Yeah.
But then if you get the MagSafe battery pack, which brings it up to 40 hours of charge.
Because people are really worried that, it won't get a full day. But Apple, Tim says a full day.
Yep. Yeah, I guess the dynamic island area covers the whole top part of it, so that cuts down a little bit of it. But I guess the battery is what makes it so thin, because it covers the whole thing, and all the mechanics are put behind that bump or the dynamic island area. I think it's going to be a slim, stylish phone, but when you put one of those Defender cases on it, I don't know how thin it's going to be then.
Which is usually what happens in my case anyway, because I get the nice pretty phone with a nice new shiny sheen to it and then slap on a case. So
yeah, wait an extra week for that special color.
Right, exactly.
I never really worried about the color of my phone.
I never did either. For years, I got the product red just because, they would put money to charity. And then in years where they didn't have it, I just got black or gray or whatever. I don't really care. It's going to have a case on it anyway.
I remember got the white one. So I got a white case because it seemed fitting because I wanted white and all that. And I didn't like having a white case because it just shows everything you're doing, You're out in the yard working on something. You're using your phone to check stuff out. You always had to worry if it's clean or not, because if it's white, well, it's probably dirty.
Probably.
I've gone with the black ones after that, just because I don't want to have to worry about it.
Well, I can't see it. What do I care? No, but I'm the same way. I've always just put a black case on them, and whether it's for just the protection of it anyway, or just because it blends in with everything, it doesn't show the dirt, like you said. So, slap a black case on there and be done with it.
Did you see those phones are coming in 5 colors now? I mean, Tim's going all out. He's going for the whole box of crayons here with the sage. What is there? Mist blue.
A light blue, yes. And the sage is is it a dark green?
It's a green.
It's a green.
It leans towards, it's one of those colors that everyone will say, that's sage. No, it's it's sage. No, it's, but you can have it now and you can show people what it is now.
Yeah, be like, here's what it is. I won't be getting the sage, but you could get orange. It sounds like a creamsicle.
Or pink. There you go. You got all the colors to choose from. And
my wife is excited to get the lavender, that purple color, but she wants the 17 Pro and it doesn't have lavender. It is only on the 17. But God love her, she said the same thing we did. She goes, well, I'm just going to go buy a purple case and put it on it anyway. And I'm like, that's my wife. I love you.
She's going to have to write that letter to Tim Apple and say, dude, you wrecked my moment. Yeah, I like the choices people have because some people think that's important. And I like the choices they're given with people with phones. I mean, why would you want a slim? I think it's just because people like her who are, I'm just going to say like a business person, someone that has a suit on, a nice suit, and they have this phone. I would say it's an accessory because then you just reach in and you have your phone. Can you have 2 phones with the same number?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. Especially nowadays with the eSIMs, you probably can.
So some people are probably getting all colors just for dressing attire and the occasion.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
St. Patrick's Day, break out the sage.
Right. The orange, put a black, one of those bumper cases, not a full case, put a black bumper case on it. You got a Halloween phone.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
When Tim's listening to this, he's going to thank us.
Yeah. Giving him new marketing ideas for their lineup of colors, as if they haven't already thought of some of it, maybe.
So which phone caught your attention?
They all caught my attention. If I was a seeing person, I would be just drooling even more so on the Pro and the Pro Max. That I can speak, from my wife's research on this this already. She was looking at the cameras and going, it has what now? It does what? It's got how many megapixel? And she's just freaking out because she loves taking photos and videos and all kinds of things. She is our photographer in the house. So I would usually be very enticed by that, but the 17, just a regular old 17 is fine for me. I like the Air, the idea of the Air. I honestly think that this is probably a early first step in a foldable phone. They want to see how thin can we get this and how strong can we make it? How robust can it be at that thin of a style? And if not next year, probably the year after, we're going to see them probably do a foldable phone. At least that's been some of the rumors. So I like the idea of the Air. I think it's fine. But I'm that type that just likes to have a good, robust feeling in my hand. Not that I need a big, thick phone. I don't need a brick. My 13 mini is fine with its case on it. That's a nice phone to hold. And I don't feel like I'm going to break it in my hand, or I'm not going to, throw it across the room, although I throw it across the room all the time anyway. But
Did your team lose?
my team lost. Yeah, I just tossed it. But yeah, so like the 17 for me is actually really nice. I like the update for the cameras, but I don't know how much that affects somebody with low vision or blindness as far as OCR or object recognition, because nowadays cameras are so above and beyond, so good.
What we started with, yeah.
That at this point, the cameras, I don't think are even a problem anymore. It's the software, it's the intelligence. What are they going to be able to do with the information that it's looking at? And that's all the artificial intelligence and the machine learning that they have in there. And that is very important, obviously, with the Pro and the Pro Max.
They say they have 3 48 megapixel lenses, one wide angle, one telescopic, one for the regular stuff.
Right.
Like you'd be doing with Ira when you're asking a question of them, they'd be by default using the wide angle so they could capture more area. Now, I would think with a 48 megapixel camera that the Ira interpreter on the other end of the camera, seeing your video, would be able to have more detail rather than what we've used in the past, like the Meta Ray Ban glasses. Some people say the detail for OCR or the detail for them to read something that you're looking at isn't crisp. So I'm wondering if this, 48 megapixels just sounds like what did we start out with? 4, 5, 6?
Something like that. Yeah, I think it was 4.
I heard a rumor that once you're up near 8 megapixels, that's a camera representation of a photograph, is what we could decipher. Once it gets past that, analog camera or a film camera couldn't replicate it because it gets...
No.
And they're up to 48 now. This is beyond Polaroid. Beyond.
Well, and I think most of the idea behind the 48 megapixel being that it is so far beyond, it's so much of the processing of what it's doing to get that megapixel. I mean, now with these phones, yes, it's doing a lot of it in the hardware, but for a long time, they've done a lot of it with the software to really improve the quality of what it's capturing and what you're able to see and all that. And they claim that there is a better color quality, better color hue, crispness to the image. So for those people that are still using like a much, much older phone, and if you're having problems with object recognition or OCR or things like that, I mean, yeah, at this point, these levels of phones are going to be far and away above and beyond anything we've ever had before.
Yeah. I was always looking for that as the phones got bigger, like the 12 MP, and then it got bigger than that. When I saw 48 today, it was like, huh.
And 3 of them.
We were trying to see the difference between 8 and 14, but now it's 3 times that at 48. It's like, whoa, well, 6 times 8 is 48. Whoa. But will it make a difference? Like you said, the software. We'll have to see how everyone opens up to that, and hopefully all the developers are working that out. We should be able to read stuff on the second page right through the first page pretty soon. We'll be speed reading.
You could take a picture of a book and have it get half the book without even opening the cover. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking if I was to upgrade, you're running the 13 mini, so you're like, what'd you say, ooh, ah? And I'm just oohing.
Yeah, when we were talking before we came on, I was like, ooh, ah, I really like it. And yeah, I think you're still just an ooh, but you've got what did you tell
14
me?
14 Pro Max.
14. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I think if someone has the 16, 15, maybe, they might be looking at it like, you have to evaluate yourself. Is there anything on here that is going to change the way you use your phone? I mean, the center stage feature.
Yeah, that's really nice if you're somebody who does a lot of FaceTime, or maybe even you go out and want to record a lot of things, because like you were alluding to, the 15 and 16 series has the Apple Intelligence in it, has all that newer, cooler software stuff. So if you're coming from a 15 or 16, that's the bigger decision. Is this, with the camera upgrades and the center stage, is that enough to just make you decide to go ahead and upgrade? Because center stage, literally like it does with the Max, it will take your image, whether you're looking in the center or you're, off just a little bit, like some of us, not just on our phones. It'll center you in the frame and make sure that you are, right there focused and centered. And I like that, especially for people who are blind or visually impaired. Like, I don't necessarily know that I'm always looking right in the center or have my face centered. I forget how many years ago it was when they put the eye tracking, where it would actually remake your eyes to make it look like you're actually looking at the screen. That's kind of a nifty feature, but I'm usually looking so far away from it probably that it probably doesn't know what to do with my eyes. But I like the idea of being able to be automatically centered. They're going to have it where you can actually record on both cameras at once. They showed, I had to get a description of this, they showed where your front-facing camera would show you up in the corner, and then whatever you're filming on the backside would fill the rest of the screen. You could then record both sides at once. So
like a FaceTime call. Yeah.
Yeah, like a FaceTime call, but actually recording both sides. I've already heard a lot of influencers and, online, people, podcasters, etc., saying this is fantastic. This will be great for reaction videos. And so the kids are going to love this for TikTok. They can record themselves reacting to whatever they're also showing. So, that's probably a lot more to do with that for this feature than anything. But at the same time, I kind of like it. I like the idea of being able to record my reaction to something while I'm recording something else and have that. So I think a lot of the upgrades with the camera are really cool. It's the idea of what is it going to do for us as people with low vision or blindness. And like we did say before, taking it back to this, OCR is fantastic. Object recognition and text recognition, all of that is so good already. It's really more about the AI and what they're doing with it and processing it. I just don't know how much these camera upgrades are really benefiting us at this point. It's just a nice new shiny that's really cool if you've got some vision, or even if you are blind. I know there's a lot of blind photographers out there. This has got to be very appealing to those people.
I like the 256 gigabyte. So the storage, that's basically the starting point. Even for the Apple Air phone, it's like, that's my phone. I haven't found that I needed more than that. I really haven't.
No, I have 128 gig with my iPhone 13 mini, and I do have to delete things once in a while, but it's not bad. I mean, I've had to get used to not having music saved in Apple Music. I just have to stream it all, and I'm almost always on Wi-Fi, and I have unlimited data, so that doesn't really bother me to stream it. But if I had the 256, I probably would download a few more albums or playlists to have on the go, or, movies or more audiobooks, things like that. Yeah, with the 128, it's just a little problematic sometimes, but 256 being the starting point, I like that. I really like that that's now going to be the base.
Now, on the iPhone Air, it's going to start at basically $1,000, $990. Yeah. And then when you get into the other ones, you're looking at $1,099. And then, but as soon as you go in there and you just click on a couple things, you might jump it up a little bit. But starting at 256, that's where I'm at. So that's fine for me. So I like that part of it. I used to always have to bump that up one, like we were saying. People are going to have to make their decision if they want to incur the cost of a new phone, trade in the other one. I would say if you already have the 15 or 16, I think the 18 would be the one to wait for.
I would. Yeah. I think that would be fine.
If you're down to 80% on a battery, you can get for $200 or so, you can go and get a new battery, get that done. It takes an hour or so like that. If you're having trouble with your battery, I'm running a 14 Pro Max and my battery's down to 84%. So can I make it another year? Probably not, but we'll see where it goes to and stuff. I can talk the talk, and every once in a while, then it's like, you know what? I'm doing it. And it's sudden when it happens to me. It's like, fine, I'm tired of this. I'm going to do this. When I used to have to delete a lot. Gosh, what were we running when we first got these phones? 32 gigabyte?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe a 64. Yeah. My first ever iPhone was a 3GS, and I don't even remember what that was. 32, probably. Yeah. 32 gig hard drive. I don't know how I even survived the dark days.
And then they have the AirPods 3. They're coming out. But I like that they left them at the same price. Basically, all the stuff I saw today, the prices were like, that's normal. I didn't see a big jump anywhere in any of this stuff. And the
No.
AirPods 3, better bass, but they also have the heart monitoring so you can get the heartbeats and stuff. And I don't know how much information Apple's actually getting out of sticking a probe in your ears. It's not just for music anymore, but I do
Right.
like the AirPods. I have the AirPod Pros 2.
So do I.
I do like them. I have to admit. I'm not the one that they always fall out. Every once in a while, I can tell one's getting loose and I push it back in and I feel like I'm Shrek out there getting it in my ear so I can use it. But they're convenient and they're inconspicuous is the word I'm looking for, in a sense that I can just wear them. And when I need to, I put it on transparency and it's just like I'm outside. And one time I started up my saw and they actually turned off transparency because of the loud sound. So that's a little bit of protection.
Turns mine on and off when my daughter comes rushing into the house or comes over to say something. All of a sudden it just drops. I'm like, no, go back.
Oh yeah. Well, they do have that in conversation when you're talking to something, but
The conversation, yeah.
the other thing I saw that they're built into them, I think it's a H1 chip.
Yep.
Live translation. So if you're going to speak French to me and I was going to speak Italian to you, it would interpret that in conversation with us back and forth.
I really like this feature. They talked about this, or kind of, well, maybe they didn't talk about it. It got leaked earlier this year that this was going to probably happen. Yeah, with two people talking with AirPods, it will automatically translate both, like you said. I liked, however, that if one of the two people didn't have AirPods, whatever you would say, it would translate it into the other person's language on your screen. So you could be speaking and just show them your screen, and it would show them what it is that you're saying, or vice versa. So I really like that. And like you said, it could be two completely, it doesn't have to be English necessarily, just two whatever languages. And yeah, you're going to be able to discuss things with people, talk with people. And I love that. That's like Star Trek come to life. It's just like, okay, I don't know their language, but okay, let's flip a switch here and we can now communicate. I think that's a fantastic thing. Now, it seems like, I don't know that they really said this directly, but some of the reading I was doing, that live translation might trickle down to the AirPod Pro 2. I'm not sure. I think that's something to put a pin in, because it sounded like that might be. There was a couple of people I read online that seemed to think that was going to be the case. So we'll have to watch that, because if that's the case, I may not get the Pro 3s.
We need sales. We need sales.
Right, exactly.
You stay at the top. You got to have people cash them in and move on to the biggest one. I wonder if you said something to me like, yeah, that's a fact. If it would translate it to Minnesota and say, yeah, for sure. You betcha.
It might.
That would be a neat trick to have it do that type of stuff too, dialects.
I'm already doing that with my Amazon Echo. There's times where I'll say things in very clear, well-spoken English and it doesn't understand me at all. So I'll throw some sort of random accent on it and all of a sudden it understands me. And I'm like, wait a minute. That shouldn't be right. But yeah, that's what we need. We need dialect translation, not just total language translation.
I like the prices at $259 for these. They say the bass is going to be better. They said that there's better air conductivity from the outside to the inside, so you're going to get a better sound, a wider range of sound. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about the PPG. I think that's on the watch. This one has the sensors, so it feels the heartbeat and stuff. But the watches, we'll get into that. That has the PPG, where it actually takes pictures of your vessels and stuff like that, so it can actually monitor. They say they'll be able to monitor if you're having high blood pressure, which usually there's not too many symptoms for that. But it's getting into the health thing, and I think that's safety first.
And I do like that, because that was the thing where I know some people were shaking their heads at the heart rate monitoring within the AirPod Pro 3s. But if you're a runner, and for example, maybe for whatever reason you don't already have an Apple Watch, or you don't use an Apple Watch. Now, if you're a runner and you're working out or exercising, you probably want an Apple Watch. But to have that heart rate monitoring, if you're out for a run or you're working out or something like that, making sure that you're okay and all that, that I think that's really good. I'd rather have it than not have it, I guess. If it's going to be baked in, why not? But like you said, we can already do some of that with the Apple Watch. But now that you can monitor, whether you have hypertension, high blood pressure, like you said. I like that. I don't personally have high blood pressure. My wife does battle with that sometimes. She was actually just recently in the hospital for AFib, which is something that the watch also can, detect and look at. So the fact that they keep putting these things in the watch, I love, because you could just say, well, the watch is just an easy way to access whatever you want to access and get information and notifications on your wrist and your workouts and exercise stuff. But then adding in all the health benefits with the high blood pressure and the heart rate monitoring and their cycle tracking.
Tim, you haven't closed any rings today.
Yeah, that's the story of my life.
It'll shame you too.
It does shame you. It absolutely shames you.
You should stand up.
And now they've got that virtual assistant that will pop up in your fitness app on your phone and on your watch to encourage you to continue your exercising and all that. It's like as if the closing of my rings wasn't enough. But no, I like that too, though. That's a nice use of artificial intelligence, being able to have a companion there in your fitness app and on your watch that's motivating you and say, hey, you got 5 minutes to go, or you're almost there, or whatever, one more rep. I like that. I think that's helpful. Some people might roll their eyes at it, but I think it's kind of helpful. But no, to be able to do all these things with just something on your wrist, like you said, scanning the vessels in your arm, and like I was saying, they does cycle tracking for women in a way that it can decide what's going on there and give you important feedback. I don't know how it does that, but it does, and I love it. I like that they think about that kind of stuff.
It looks for changes. There should be a constant, but then there's changes.
Right. There's a blip. Yeah.
It also has a sleep monitoring. I don't sleep with my watch.
Before I lost it, I slept with mine because I do suffer from sleep apnea. Now I do have a CPAP machine and all that. And so I work with my doctor closely on it, but I still, when I had my watch and didn't lose it, I would wear it to bed, and it worked really nicely to tell me, the different parts of the night where I slept the best, or I didn't sleep so well. And with all the new features, because like I said, I had the Series 4, wherever it may be, God rest its little soul. It did a good job, but not a great job. And so if I got either, I could get last year's model and I'd be blown away, but especially with the new sleep tracking and sleep apnea things that it's doing with, the software, again, going back to, using the software to really provide you with statistics, easy for me to say, to really break it down and explain to you.
I'm not editing that.
Okay, fine. Well, it's been a day. It has definitely been a day. It's always that kind of day with the Apple events.
We were talking about trying to get this. We'll do it right after the show. We'll do this. We'll do that. And we'll race. Our watches would be going, Jeff, you're killing it today. What's going on?
Your heart is very elevated today.
I like this to soak in because it's new information. I think they did a great job at moving around the presentation. And if you want to watch this, any Apple event, you can go to apple.com and then click on the links to it. It'll go to the events and then you can pull it up. They replay them anytime you want to do it. And you can get it on your phone too, or on your Apple TV. You go down to an app. There's an Apple app that has Apple events in it. You can replay them all day long and everything. I remember I used to record them. So I have information that I realize it's always there. It's Apple.
I noticed earlier today that it was actually in the App Store. If you went to the App Store, right at the top of the screen, it had as a event for the day, and you could tap on it there, and then it would take you to the Apple TV app in order to watch it right there on your phone. So they were pushing it everywhere. And then, of course, because I have audio description turned on by default on my phone, when I went to the Apple TV app to watch it, it automatically kicked on the audio description, which was fantastic and was really well done. The presentation itself is obviously well put together. They kind of know what they're doing, but the narration for the audio description was really, really good. There was actually at the beginning, I can't remember exactly what the description was, but when it showed like the logo and the animation of the logo for this particular event, they had it scripted out to where it described exactly what was going on and how it was animating and all that kind of thing. And the transitions were described very, very well. I think I said this to you before we were recording. There was a part where I don't know that anybody said it out loud in the presentation, but the narrator for the audio description was talking about a point where they were using artificial intelligence or the Apple intelligence. And the narrator mentioned that the 17 in that particular scene was using the screen share feature where you can take a screenshot and then just ask, what is this I'm looking at? Just like you can do with any other, Seeing AI or ChatGPT or anything like that. Just take a screenshot and it'll then see what's on your screen. So if you're like, I don't know what's going on, I can't find this button, or is there a link on this screen? What am I missing? Is there an email address? Whatever it is you're trying to find.
Who's injured on my fantasy football team?
Yeah, exactly. I've done this. Yes. I've done this. I've done my baseball team and my football team. It's like, I've done that with ChatGPT, and it's an easy process with ChatGPT because you go in, you just change it to, screen share. It turns off your screen curtain automatically so it can literally see your screen. And just go somewhere and say, okay, here's the screen I'm on. Tell me what we're seeing, or list the players that are here, or whatever. And to be able to do that natively with the phone, any of the Apple Intelligence phones, so the 15s forward, like I said, I think you have to take the screenshot and then ask what's in it. But it's a press of two buttons, and there you go, and you can ask it anything about your screen. And the fact that the audio description narrator mentioned that, I went searching for that after the event, and I couldn't find anywhere where somebody actually mentioned it aloud. It must have just been visually on the screen, but the narrator said it. I'm like, ooh, I feel special.
Yeah. It makes you wonder if that's a prelude to what's more to come if the Apple glasses ever come out. Who knows?
Well, that's the dream, isn't it, Jeff? I mean, the idea that if we could get Apple glasses that is like the Meta frames, or like, Google Glass of old, or what Google's working on now, that's the ultimate dream. That's the idea of being able to.
It is interesting when you do have a person, you've been in a situation, a person that gets it, that understands that what you want to take in. I went on a canoe trip, and I actually stopped and I pulled up Access AI from the Ira app, and I took a picture, and it told me a quiet river running down with a canoe, and it gave me the fluffy. I got it set for fluffy. And so I took another picture of the same thing, and it was pretty close to what I wanted. And now they're talking about this stuff coming out live. Like I was talking about a beta program coming up here. I think it has to do with live video. Mm-hmm. And I think other companies are everyone's doing something of this nature somewhere.
Meta's doing that with the Meta frames, where, they already have their live.
Remember that video that came out a while?
Yep.
What, 9 months, 10 months ago?
Yeah, they've got the live AI, and I know they're going to be working on expanding that here in the very near future. And then, like you said, the promise of an Apple glasses, or the Solos.
And Apple will have a API. What is it? An API?
API, yeah.
Yeah, that will open it up for people that are doing the right thing, the accessibility and stuff like that. They're going to start to open that up. That's what I heard.
Well, yeah, because they have that larger access to their app store and their whole, built-in system there. Whereas like Meta has to get partnerships. Right now, you can load up Audible and Be My Eyes because of partnerships, Spotify and Amazon Music and things like that, and use that with your Meta frames. But they have to reach out and actually make that partnership happen. Whereas Apple, there probably are partnerships, but they already have the App Store, and the developers will get that API from Apple. And just like with the Vision Pro, they can just go ahead and create an app for it and put it in there, and it can be available widely instead of just having to wait and hope that somebody's going to get a partnership made. So that is that ultimate dream of being able to have the Apple glasses do it, because imagine being able to have something that's already native built in, and you're just wearing it all the time, like we already do, try to do with our Meta frames and Solos and things, and just ask it questions and just say, hey, what's that? What's this? Describe this to me. So that's where I'm going to be dropping all my money if and when that happens.
What I want is, if I'm going from point A to point B and it knows my interests, so it learns it learns what I like, what my interests are, and what my curiosities are. And if this is, and I know ChatGPT knows that I'm a woodworker, no, I'm a DIY, because when I ask questions, and since you're good at woodworking, this shouldn't be a problem for you. It has a history of me. So when we get to this point, when you walk into navigation style, which I don't think any of them suggest using it for navigation, but if you're taking a tour and it's giving you feedback, I want it to be geared towards me. Like, what would catch my eye if I'm going along? Some people, they go by a thrift store or antique store, and they never glance at it. It just goes by, where I'll take that double look. In a sense, you know what I mean? Or if they have a motorcycle shop, I might bend my neck if I could see it well enough, But so I wanted to do that, or a guitar store. Those are things that I'd take that slower step and go, do I have the time? No, I don't, or whatever. But when it gets to the point where you can personalize it so it knows you almost better than you do, that would be kind of cool.
And I think we're in the early stages of that. I mean, really, honestly, AI itself is in its infancy. I mean, it's only really been majorly available to the public for what, maybe a couple of years. There's been versions of AI for decades in a way, but in this kind of form with an actual agent that and a large language model that can actually process what they're doing and providing with you, this is still fairly new. That said, my ChatGPT, just like yours, in talking with me, it knows so much about me. But then I don't know if this is right, wrong, creepy or not, or all the above, but you go into the personality settings and you can tell it about yourself, your interests, your favorite things, your personality. Then you can go in and tell it the personality that you want it to actually have. I've got it very specific to a personality that I want it to be like, kind of like a friend that you've known forever. I've told it, here's the curse words that I don't mind you using. Here's a couple that I'm not sure that I'd be comfortable with you using. Here's how, all these kind of different things. Like you can program it to be whatever you want, which can be scary and daunting, but it can be very, very helpful. But like you said, with being able to tell it, hey, I'm, this age and I've been in this kind of business in my life and I have a podcast and I do, blogs and, all this kind of thing. It actually recommends things to me all the time. If I'm asking about something, it'll say, is this something that you'd like to consider using for life after blindness? And I'm like, I wasn't actually going that way with it, but yeah, actually, okay, tell me more, to actually be able to recommend that.
Oh, and the rabbit hole starts.
And then the rabbit hole, absolutely. And that just kills me. I've gone down so many different rabbit holes building like audio only web-based audio games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or building, and just putting together all kinds of projects. And like we talked about, fantasy sports and all the different things that it can do. So eventually I think that you're going to get that dream that you're walking down the street with your watch, your phone, your glasses, your AirPods, you're all Apple loaded up there. And it's going to say, hey, by the way, you're going to be passing this woodworking shop, or, the next block is a motorcycle dealership. Do you want to stop in? Or do you want me to provide you information about this place so you can decide if you want to stop? Or it knows restaurants that you've visited or places you've been based on location, services and things. And be like, hey, I know that you frequent, this particular restaurant. There's one coming up here soon. Do you want to stop in, or you want to make a reservation? That kind of contextual AI, I think, is absolutely going to happen. Mm-hmm. I think it's already slowly starting, and it's only going to become more and more. It's a matter of what we do with it and, how we accept it or not.
That's kind of like, if you have stuff like that, I remember I used to use Blind Square. Do you remember that?
Yep. I still actually use it from time to time.
When I'm on a city bus and I used to go from end of town to the other end of town, I would turn it on and it would lay out these points that some people put there. And it would just start naming your location and then points of interest, I guess they were. What I'm trying to think of is, how do you do this if you're navigating and walking? Like, there's a bench. Watch out, the banana peel. Whoa, okay, straight ahead. Oh, and by the way, Jeff, there's a wood shop to your banana peel. This overload of information, it's going to be almost impossible to be a knee-jerk reaction to respond to your environment, to gather information about your points of interest around you. That's why when I use most of this stuff, like say I'm at a hotel, I'll sit down with a coffee and I'll do a look around. I'll say, what points of interest are near me? And I'll get this idea of stuff that's there. Just like looking at a menu before you go to a restaurant, I get an idea of what they're serving up. Like, I'm not going to go into a seafood restaurant and order a hot dog because I didn't look at the menu.
That would be strange.
I like doing my homework a little bit with a coffee. I'm just nonchalant.
Oh, we have to. All right.
But I don't want to do it while I'm lost between 16th and a half Street and Zenith. Why isn't it 17? It says Zenith. I want to just be able to move about, get where I want to be. The ideas have already been planted, but yeah.
Well, I think when you take GPS information like we had in Blind Square and still have, because I use it all the time to be the navigator in the car. I feel like I'm participating. My wife's driving and I can pull up Blind Square and be like, well, I see that there's a Burger King 2 exits away or whatever, and you can have it read the streets as you're passing a street. It can call it out to you and say, here's where you are, which is good for driving or walking, and then tell you about restaurants or other venues or whatever. So taking that type of technology just with GPS and that spatial awareness, add that to glasses of some sort that have like your favorite feature, LiDAR, um, but LiDAR in the sense of maybe you have glasses that have several cameras embedded in the glasses, and it can use LiDAR, it can use the cameras to see what's around you, it can use multiple microphones to hear what's going on around you, and be able to process all of that with artificial intelligence, and then either guess what it thinks that you're going to want to know, or be readily available to answer any questions that you need to know.
It
And
just hit me, Tim. It
yes,
just hit
the
me.
LiDAR hit you?
No, we need AI,
Yes.
conscious AI, and subconscious AI.
Yes, there you go.
Because the conscious, you're walking, you're dodging shrapnel on the sidewalk. You're point A to point B. Subconsciously, you're hungry.
Yeah. And it's like, based on your metabolism, your heart rate, and, your activity,
Yeah.
we don't believe that you've eaten in a while. So maybe you should stop and get a bite to eat.
And since you didn't wear your watch, we don't know what you're going to want. It's very interesting where this stuff is going. I'm glad we're part of the experiment in a sense that we're using it, we're testing it.
I mean, in a way, aren't people who are blind or visually impaired the stress testers for all of this? If it works for us, it's definitely going to work for everybody else. The way that we're talking about this, I almost feel like in the next, 5 to 10 years, a blind person with a possible Apple glasses and an iPhone, AirPods, and a watch, we might navigate better than sighted people with all this technology.
Or something we don't even know that's coming out that just kind of works. Yeah.
An implant.
Like the Glide. The Glide got delayed. Maybe we'll all be pushing those popcorn poppers all over the place and see what happens. But no, I'm not knocking it at all. I'm just saying it's just foreign to me right now a little bit. A guide dog was foreign to me at one point.
Yep.
Until I started to realize, if you go to a convention, you'll realize how good those dogs are. It's like, I want one. It's like they just grew like how you go to shopping centers and they used to have those carts over there, you put 50 cents in and you can push your kid around in the shopping cart or something like that at the malls and stuff. They should have like a line of dogs over there. Yeah, I'll take one. They would just go over there and grab the handle and go, that Glide, might be the thing for blind people at a convention. If they have enough there, would you like to rent a Glide for the day? $65.
I think you're onto something here, Jeff. You got some entrepreneurial ideas here.
You never know. They're probably already doing it somewhere already, and we just got to get out more. That's the thing with all this stuff. Will we get out more? I hope so.
We'll just stay here in our studios and dream.
Talk the talk.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think this is good. It's just a chat about the stuff that came out. Like I said, I'm in no hurry. I want to let it settle in. I'm looking at the watch because my watch is cracked and I haven't been wearing it. I have the 5. Well, wherever it is right now.
I'm in the same boat. Maybe our watches are together somewhere. My 4 and your 5 have disappeared into the, vast depths of the universe. Yeah, the abyss. And they're laughing at us.
Yeah, because they actually work fine for what I use them for. They actually work fine.
Really,
they tell me, they shame me, they tell me all the stuff.
I got plenty of humans who can do that.
Ring. Yeah, I put it on. I'm going to wear my watch for the day. I go up up the steps twice or something because I forgot something. And says, "You're killing it today, Jeff." But I think they put on a good event. I think people have good choices right now. The prices didn't jump up so high. It's all attainable if you were in the market before. So I like the SE. That really puts it into affordability for people. $259 on the watch. That's a good starting point.
Yeah, I was very happy with the price points because, like you said, the 256 gigabyte is the minimum now for all the phones, but they priced it at the same price as any of the 256 gigabyte phones were last year. So it's in some cases it might feel like it's more expensive, but actually compared to the same hard drive space from last year's series, they're the same price. And that's great because I know that there was a lot of concern that they were going to jack up the prices, $200, $300, $400 because of the economy and inflation and all kinds of different, things that are political that we won't go into here. But thankfully they found a way to not jack those prices up and make it the same, which makes it, you can debate whether it's affordable or not, but at least keeping it the same makes it reasonable. And, being able to still have that entry point and in the SE, like you said, with the watch and all those kind of things. So I think it was a well-done event. I like everything. I almost kind of feel like I might end up getting a watch, the AirPods, and a phone. AirPods being the bottom of that priority list, most likely. But I like it. I think that it was a good direction. I just want to see more artificial intelligence because I'm a junkie for artificial intelligence. And if I can get more of that natively on the phone and not have to do as much, paying $20 a month to ChatGPT. I would love that. So once they really roll that out, I'll be delighted. But I think for now, though, it was well done. It was one of the better, more interesting, I think, fall events that they've had in a while.
I think my urgency of not needing something dramatically this time, like back when I had the 12, I was leaning in because I just wanted, I got the 12 because of LiDAR, and then the 14 was a nice step up. I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad we could talk about it because,
yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, go check out the event yourself if you want to dig into all the details about the ceramic, the scratch resistance, and all the nits, the brightness
of the screen and the
3,000 nits.
The ceramic glass front and back. I mean, there's a lot of things that we obviously didn't talk about here that get in the nitty gritty, but
yeah,
as you and I discussed, and we've said, getting into the nitty gritty and the tech specs and all that, I mean, we don't want to bore the poor people.
It's your use case.
Exactly. It comes down to your use case for what you're personally going to do. Is the camera going to be what you want? Is the brightness going to be helpful for you? All those different things that are there, the hard drive, the RAM, for processing all this,
battery,
the battery
biggest
life,
battery ever.
The watch is now a 24-hour battery cycle. I'm like, okay, there we go, 24 hours on the watch, and I think you can charge it like 80% in 10-20 minutes. So yeah, that
15 minutes, 8 hours.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So there's a lot of that maybe we didn't cover, but again,
we just did.
Well, I think we just did. We covered the whole event there in about 20 seconds. But that said, though, like there are deep dive things that you can really get involved in technologically, as tech nerds we have and we could. But I agree with you. I like talking about what is this really going to do for us? How does this matter? Does it matter? Is this going to be helpful for our everyday use cases? I think ultimately that's what people care about.
I mean, Apple on the new watch. Okay, so you go out and you want to get this new watch, the 11, right? It comes with 2 new watch faces. That's something they never opened up for people to develop watch faces for the watch. I mean, whoa, Tim Cook. 2 new watch faces. Oh, I'm getting it. I'm wearing my Seiko Braille watch. I got it for my anniversary this year. And you know what? I'm wearing it. And it's so nice that that's all it does. It just lets me inconspicuously check the time. It's like nice. And I forgot my phone today, and we went up and got our haircuts. A friend comes over and we went up and my niece cuts hair at a professional place, but it took some time and stuff like that. But when we left and I realized I forgot my phone, I was like naked.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, Tim's going to send me a message and I won't be able to respond. What's my fantasy football team doing? I mean, it's Tuesday. It's the best day to forget your phone, right? So I was like going through this thing. And then all of a sudden I said to myself, okay, Jeff, forget about it. Forget about it. You're here. You're in the car. You're talking. There's people. There's environment. You're getting your hair. And then I let it go. And I had a great time,
Be in the moment.
So I hope people remember, be in the moment. And this watch craze that I'm going through right now, because mine's broke and it's a 5. Yeah, okay. I'll probably get a watch. And Lori needs to get a watch too. And her phone's the SE and she's down to 80%. She got the warning.
Oh, no.
79. She got that battery warning.
My phone's at like 72 or 3, I think. So yeah, it's that time.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tim, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
People out there, thanks for listening. Thanks for the responses we got back from the last show. Love it. Till next time, Tim.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. I'll get the lights. For more podcasts with the blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities, and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities. And if you want to leave some feedback, give us some suggestions, give us a call at 612-367-6093. We'd love to hear from you. I want to thank you for listening, and until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through
each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap
between the limited expectations and the reality of blind abilities.
And the realities of blind abilities.